Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to decode the story behind our makeup and hair, from that classic post-war glamour all the way to the TikTok trends that seem to change every single week. It turns out what we put on our faces says way more about us and our history than you might think.
So you've seen this everywhere, right? The 80s are back in a big way. On the left, you've got the OG Madonna with that iconic, rebellious look, bold, a little masculine, totally in charge. And on the right, that's today's version. Gen Z is calling it new wave makeup. Think electric colors, super fluffy brows. It's a complete rejection of that clean, minimalist aesthetic we've seen for so long. But here's the thing, it's so much more than just fashion repeating itself.
And that really gets to the heart of it. Why do these styles make a comeback? And what can this revival tell us about our own lives right now? Well, to really get to the bottom of that, we have to go back, way back, to see how the modern beauty industry was even built.
Okay, so let's jump in our time machine. After World War II, the United States wasn't just the world's biggest economy. It also started exporting a very specific idea of what beauty should look like, creating a kind of global template for the modern face. And get this, by 1950, North America controlled a staggering 2/3 of the entire world's market for color cosmetics. It became so ingrained in daily life that the US government actually called lipstick a wartime necessity. Beauty wasn't a luxury anymore. It was essential.
And this whole industry boom was really built on three different kinds of companies. You had your big consumer giants like Procter & Gamble, handling the basics, soap, toothpaste. Then you had the pharmaceutical companies for stuff like deodorant. But the real game changers, those were the specialty firms, Max Factor, Avon, Revlon. They're the ones who made makeup and skincare a staple in every home.
And what was the cultural engine driving all of this? Hollywood, of course. It wasn't just selling movie tickets, it was exporting a very specific, very Caucasian image of beauty, that blondes and blue eyes ideal. And that image got beamed into every corner of the world, setting the standard for decades.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the 1970s. That one-size-fits-all ideal, it completely shatters. The 70s were so culturally divided that beauty just splintered into these three totally distinct and often clashing tribes.
First up, you had the hippies with their natural, earthy vibe. And this was perfectly captured by a brand new invention, balayage. It gave you that sun-kissed look, but it was also super practical. For the growing number of women entering the workforce, it was a low-maintenance style that didn't mean you had to run to the salon all the time.
Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you had disco. Forget natural, the entire point was to shine, to glitter. Your makeup was designed to catch those disco lights. We're talking pearly, shimmery, full-on glittery finishes that were every bit as loud as the music.
And the third tribe? The punks. They took makeup and turned it into a weapon against the establishment. That heavy, smudgy eyeliner all the way around the eyes, it wasn't about looking pretty. It was an aggressive, in-your-face statement, a rejection of everything mainstream.
So after all that division in the 70s, the 1980s snapped back with one single powerful idea. More is more. In the 80s, makeup literally became a kind of armor, a tool you used to project strength and ambition. And when you break down this power face, it is fascinating. Every single element was about projecting authority. The sharp, angular blush, the aggressive eyes, even those thick, kind of messy, masculine brows. It was basically the makeup version of the power suit with those giant shoulder pads that women were starting to wear to the office. And this look is not just a history lesson. It is happening again right now. Data shows a massive 340% jump in searches for things like electric-colored makeup. It's Gen Z pushing back against years of that perfect, minimalist Instagram face, and instead, they're choosing something that feels way more individual and expressive. And then, the internet arrived, and social media just completely changed the game. It sent us on this whiplash tour of trends, from 90s minimalism all the way to the insane speed of today's trend cycles. I mean, just look at how fast things started moving. Back in the 90s, a look like grunge could last for a whole decade. By the 2010s, influencers and K-pop sped things up globally. But now, in the 2020s, the TikTok algorithm can create and kill a trend like the clean girl to messy girl pipeline in just a few months. Sometimes it feels like a few weeks. The speed is just wild. So where does that leave us today? Well, it's not about one single look anymore. It's more like these four huge forces all pulling in different directions. You've got this big push for clean, sustainable beauty, right next to a creator culture that's all about fast trends and buying more stuff. And at the same time, you have tech like AI making beauty super personal, while global influences, especially from K-pop, are setting new worldwide standards. It's complicated. All right, so we've been on this huge journey through the history of makeup. What's the big takeaway here? Why does any of this actually matter to us? Well, for one thing, it's pretty clear that these trends are never, ever just frivolous or random. They pop up for a reason, and they always tell us something really important about the world we're living in. They're basically a mirror. They reflect everything back at us: our economy, our technology, what we're anxious about as a society, and what we're aspiring to, or even rebelling against. Which really just means that our faces are, in a very real way, living history books. Every single choice we make, whether it's that bold 80s blush or a simple 90s lipstick, it's like writing a sentence in a much, much bigger story. And that leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. If beauty really is a mirror of our culture, in our own complex, super fast, and often confusing time, what will the face of the future say about who we are right now? What story is it going to tell?